Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you all the books that I'd like to read over the month of December. So these ones, I'm going to have like two separate TBRs for kind of this month. I have my December TBR and these are the books that for sure I would like to get to. And then I'm going to have one later in the month that will be like my winter break TBR. And those are the books that I'd like to read while I'm on break in between the fall and spring semester. So I only have 4 books on this TBR. These are, like I said, the ones for sure that I would like to get to this month, and then the other ones I'll kind of figure out along the way after, I don't have to worry about final exams and all that. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So starting out, this is the book that I am currently reading right now. I'm about 50 pages or so into it, and it is All the Ways We Said Goodbye by Beatriz Williams, Warren Willig, and Karen White. And this is a kind of 3 different perspectives throughout World War I, or World War II, and kind of World War I, World War II, and then post World War II. So this is kind of the different perspectives. So we get 1914. When war breaks out, Aurelie flees the safety of the Hotel Ritz and her American heiress mother to join her estranged father at their estate in Picardy, determined to defy the German invaders. But as the Germans push forward, taking the chateau as their headquarters, Aurelie's plans are complicated by the presence of Maximilian von Sternberg, once a friend, now aide-de-camp, I don't know, my French isn't very good, to the despised German commander. Caught between loyalty and love, which will she betray? Then we also get 1942, raised by her grandmother, American grandmother, in the glorious Hotel Ritz. Daisy, who is Aurelie's daughter, remains in Paris with her husband, a Nazi collaborator, after France falls to Hitler. While at first reluctant to put her family at risk, Daisy agrees to act as a courier for a skilled English forager who creates identity papers for resistance members and Jewish refugees. But as Daisy commits increasingly audacious acts of espionage, she uncovers a devastating secret, one that will force her to commit an ultimate betrayal. And then last week at 1964, for Barbara Langford, her husband Kit was the love of her life, yet her marriage was haunted by a mysterious woman known only as Lafleur. After Kit's death, a letter from American lawyer Drew Bowdoin appears at her door. Drew is on the trail of a resistance fighter turned traitor called Lafleur, and the investigation has led to Kit Langford. Barbara joins Drew in his search, a journey of discovery that takes them from Paris and the Ritz and the unexpected places of the heart. So like I said, this one is really interesting. I like how it covers basically World War I, World War II, and post World War II. I think it'll be very interesting, and just obviously these stories are interconnected. We know kind of how the first 2 are between like the mother and daughter, but it'll be interesting to see how she connects these two these 3 storylines together. And I would assume because it's 3 different authors that each author has their own thing. I don't know. I will have to find out in the author note, but I think that sounds really interesting. Like I said, I feel like I haven't been reading a lot of historical fiction throughout this year, so I kind of want to change that and kind of read more historical fiction going into 2022. So that is going to be my plan, and hopefully this book will kind of kickstart that. So this is another historical fiction novel, and this one has been on my shelf for a really long time, and I definitely want to kind of, finally read this, because I think this has been on my TBR like since the summertime, and I've just never gotten around to reading it. So I'm actually gonna put it like on my TBR pile shelf throughout the month, so it will motivate me to do that. And it is The Girl from Berlin by Ronald H. Balson. This is kind of like a series that has a present day, past day kind of tie-in. So it follows Liam and Catherine, who investigate crimes that were committed throughout history that were never actually the people never actually were charged with anything, so they kind of try to find out what happened, find these people, and actually hold them accountable. So this one says, an old friend summons Catherine and Liam to his popular Chicago restaurant to enlist their help. A powerful corporation is evicting his Aunt Gabby from the Tuscan villa where she has lived all her life. To assist them, Gabby sends Catherine and Liam a leather-bound manuscript written by Ada Balmagarden many years ago. Hidden into the pages is a story long suppressed. Ada is the daughter of the first violinist and concertmaster of the prestigious Berlin Philharmonic and a gifted violinist in her own right. Her opportunities have would seem to be boundless, but she is a Jewish girl in Berlin in the 1930s. As the tides of history turn and Ada and her family become a target, it is Ada's extraordinary talent that carries them from one perilous situation to another. What becomes of Ada? Who could Ada's story contain the key to saving Gabby's villa? As Catherine and Liam dig through the layers of lies and corruption, an unfinished story of heart, redemption, and hope is revealed, the ending of which is yet to be written. So I think this one sounds really good. Like I said, I love all the historical fiction, especially World War II historical fiction. I feel like that is like my go-to for sure. And I do love the characters of Catherine and Liam and just their dynamics, especially because I feel The Trust, which was the one that I read last year, kind of deals with like Liam and his family, so I'm excited to see where these characters are at now in present day. And lastly, these next two are ones that come out within like the first few weeks of December, and I know I for sure will be definitely getting to them. They are much anticipated. So first up we have Darkness Falls by Robert Bryznda. This is book 3 in the Kate Marshall series, and again, for my crime series, especially if it's like a new book in the series, I don't want to know anything about the synopsis. I literally just dive right in. So the premise of this series, this is, like I said, book 3, so it's still fairly recent actually. So it follows Kate Marshall, who 15 years ago was at kind of the height of her career. She ended up solving one of the big kind of serial killers of that time, but what should have been the highlight of her career ended up being her downfall. It was kind of like she ended up, prior to discovering that this guy was a serial killer, she kind of had a relationship with him, and the press kind of like destroyed her. So she has spent the last 15 years dealing with the after effects of this. She kind of leaves the police force, she becomes a criminology professor, until one day there are these strings of murders that are taking place that are eerily similar to what, you know, was going on 15 years ago. So she kind of ends up getting involved in the cases, and it goes off from there. I think Kate is such a complex character. She is very flawed. She has a lot of struggles, and I think this book does not shy away from that and showing, you know, her complexities. And so this is definitely the turning point in the series in terms of the direction of where this character is going. So I'm really excited to see what Kate has in store. I feel like I'm not really good with explaining like the new crime series because, like I said, I don't want to know anything about it. And like the next one that's coming out is, I think it's At First Light by Barbara Nickless. This is the newest book in the Sydney Parnell series, and again, know nothing about it. I just saw that it was coming out and I pre-ordered it right away. But this series in general follows Sydney Parnell, who is a former Marine who's come back from Afghanistan, and she ends up working for the railroad companies as like a investigator for them, and she obviously gets involved with some murder investigations, and it kind of goes off from there. But what makes this series really stand out is its kind of commentary on PTSD and how a lot of resources aren't, you know, really there for like all these people going off to war are given all these, you know, training and everything to adjust to life in combat, but they're not given a lot of resources to come back into society. And Sydney is dealing with a lot of her demons and what she has experienced, and like the death of friends and everything like that. So seeing her kind of go through that as well as something, again, that makes her such a dynamic and complex character. And then what I also like too is that she has a canine companion named Clyde, who was a former Marine dog that she knew in Afghanistan that now she works with now, and I just love that. Like I said, I'm a big dog person, so I really love that. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what this book has in store. Like I said, these are probably some of my like current favorite crime series that have kind of come out now. They are, like I said, especially for, I feel like they're relatively new compared to some of like the old ones that have, you know, had like 16 plus books out already. So if you're looking for a new crime series to start, I would, you know, these ones are really good, especially the Kate Marshall. Like I said, this is book like 3 or 4, so it's still relatively new. So yeah, these ones I'm really excited for. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of the books that you will be reading this month and all that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.